Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Thanks for hitting that play button. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day out there. Today we're back with the Yamaha MT09SP. And this is the video that you all have been waiting on. This is the video where I actually installed the Akrapovic full racing exhaust on the Yamaha MT09. So check it out guys. There it is in all its glory. So I tried to film a video showing exactly what I did in each and every step, but it was too crazy. I'll probably put a picture-in-picture up here somewhere so you guys can see little parts of that video. This is gonna be a little bit different type of video. I think a more streamlined video because I'm gonna go through and just show you guys everything you need to do as far as taking off the stock exhaust and installing on the aftermarket exhaust and what tools you need. I'm gonna show you all the key points and things to watch out for when doing this install. Let's get into it. All right guys, we are back. So this is the first thing you need to do. You have a radiator guard on this side. You also have a radiator guard on that side. You're gonna have to take these little bolts out. And they are a 4mm Allen key. Just take them all the way out. And then you have these little push pins on the inside here. Now, these push pins are a little bit difficult to get out because you have to use a Phillips screwdriver and they're plastic. And all you do is you take the Phillips and you go lefty-loosey, just loosen it up, but you have to be really, really gentle when you do it so you don't strip them out. So the next thing you have to do is there's these little push pins right here on the inside of the radiator guard. But you have to be very, very careful when you take these out because they're plastic. Use too much force, you'll end up stripping them out. So all you do is just unscrew it slowly, slowly, slowly till it pokes out a little bit. And you just use a flathead and you just pry up from the bottom right here. And you got another one down here and you have one over there on that side and one over there on that side. And you do the same thing. Once you have those off, what I did was there's a little push pin here for your oxygen sensor for your exhaust. What you do is you want to push the pin up on it. And then once you push that pin up on it, you want to pull it out. It's really, really simple to do. And it is on the left side of the motorcycle, right underneath this radiator guard here. Now also there's zip ties. There's zip tie right here and there's zip ties right here. I would cut those zip ties just to give yourself a little leeway, a little bit of room when you're removing the wire for the oxygen sensor. It'll just give you more room because you're gonna have to remove it anyway to take it off of the stock exhaust. All right guys, next, once you have the radiator covers off on each side, there are some 6mm bolts behind these guards here on each side. And you wanna just basically take your 6mm wrench, and you take those out, take it out over here. And what that does is that moves these lights, these light fixtures on each side out of the way, all right? And the reason you do that is because you wanna get to these bolts here. And there's one on the other side right there, all right? And those are gonna be 4mm as well, all right? So you just use your 4mm, you loosen it up over here all the way, take them all the way out, loosen up over here, take it all the way out. Just remember your hardware, guys. Remember where you're taking this hardware off of. You know, put it in a little bag. If you have to mark it, so you know where it goes when you're putting the bike back together again. Next guys, once you remove these bolts on each side for the radiator mount, there's a 10mm screw that is a pain in the butt to get out. So what you have to do is take basically, I would say a 1/4 inch extension, and you want to come up from the bottom. I'll try to get you guys a picture of it right there. Okay, so it is right in there, guys. You can see where my flashlight's on. It's right there. It's right above that header bolt right there. A 10mm bolt. And you gotta get it out, guys. You gotta get it out. So what I take is a 1/4 inch extension and I have this 10mm swivel on here. And basically you just come up from the bottom and you just get it in there the best way you can, guys. The best way you can. And just unscrew it out. And once you unscrew it out, it'll just drop this bracket out and it'll move your radiator out, because you have these top mounting bolts here out and the bottom radiator mount out. You'll be able to move your radiator out as much as possible so you can get to your header bolts. Also, you have some zip ties over here on this side. I would undo these as well. You have, I think, 1 or 2 up here on the inside. You want to undo those as well to give you as much room as possible, like I said, because you want to move this radiator as far back as you can so you can get to your header bolts right there. That once you have that 10mm bolt out, you go over and you grab your swivel. All right, it's a 14mm for your header bolts. And basically you just take your time, and you can use a box end if you wrench if you want. And what's even better is, for the outside bolts, you can't use a box end for the inside header bolts, but for the outside ones you can. And also, guys, even for that radiator mount bolt that I was showing you earlier, you can use a box end 10mm for that bolt as well, especially if you have a longer one. I would definitely use like a ratcheting one if you have one. It makes things a lot easier. But anyway, going back to the header bolt, they're 14mm bolts, right? Let's see if I can get the camera right here. And there's 6 of them. You have one there, one on top of this header, and you have 3 headers, obviously, so you have 6 nuts total. And you just loosen them all the way up, okay? And it shouldn't take a lot of force. I think they're like 14 or 16 foot-pounds of torque. It's nothing. You just take them out, loosen them all the way up. All right, guys, next, once you have the header nuts removed, you can go ahead and remove your O2 sensor from your stock exhaust. So all you do is use a box end 17mm wrench. Pretty simple, guys. Pretty simple. Just grab it right there, 17mm, and you just loosen it up. Pretty simple. I don't know if you guys can see it right there. Just loosen it all the way up, take it all the way off, and I would just be careful with it once you take it off, because it is a sensor, guys. Take it all the way out. If you have to cut whatever zip ties you have to get it out, just be careful. Take it all the way out, and I would just place it on the table out of the way so it doesn't get all messed up from tools or whatever like that, or dirt. Just move it out of the way, and maybe even put it in a Ziploc bag until you're ready to reinstall it. And then after you do that, you're gonna start removing your actual mounting bolts for your stock exhaust. So you're gonna have 2 bolts. You're gonna have 1 bolt on this side, and you're gonna have 1 bolt on this side. So here are the bolts right here, and I believe they are 14mm. I think they're the same size as the header bolts. Yeah, they're 14mm. So let me show you where they are located at. You'll have 1 over here, right, for your stock exhaust. And then you'll have 1 over here for your stock exhaust, right here. Just use your 14mm, loosen it up. Now, once you loosen up these bolts, be careful, you may need help, because your exhaust will be totally loose. If you got all your bolts loose on your header bolts, once you start loosening up these bolts on each side here, your stock exhaust is gonna drop to the ground. So if you can, put a jack under here if you don't have help. If you have help, have someone hold it, because you loosen up one of these bolts, and once you go to the other side and start loosening up, once it's almost out, it's gonna start to droop, and you pull it all the way out, it's gonna fall. So just be careful, guys, is what I'm saying. Once it drops down, you also wanna be careful of your radiator. You don't wanna hit it or puncture it or put a hole in it as well. So just be careful when you take it out. You just use your hands and just pull it down ever so slightly, and it'll drop down and come on out. And as you can see, she's right here. This is the stock exhaust, guys. It's stock exhaust. This job, by far, is not a hard job. It's not hard to do. You can do this. If you have basic mechanic skills, you can do this, no problem. No problem at all. And on that note, guys, if you have any questions on how to do this, just drop a comment down below. I'll do my best to answer any questions you guys may have. Then the stock exhaust is all the way out. So that's fantastic. Now to reinstall it, it's gonna be a little bit, different than putting a new one on, because the new exhaust comes with, obviously you have your muffler, you have your headers, you got your mid pipe, and you also have this bracket right here that you're gonna have to install, okay? So it's not hard, but it's some extra steps that you're gonna have to do. First thing I did was I took off this rear set right here, and I put the new bolts in. Acro gives you new hardware for this here, this bracket. So basically you take it all the way out, and I believe there is I think it's a 6, let's check, guys. Yeah, so it's a 6mm Allen to take this out. So you just take it out, and then once you put the new ones in, what you do is you take this bracket, check it out, guys, check it out. The bracket is in between the spacer and the rear set. It's right here. That's the bracket right there. So you put that bracket on, and you put your spacer here, and all you do is you feed your bolt through. You do one of these first. You feed your bolt through, and then you put the bracket on, and then you put the spacer on, and screw it in slowly, and then you maneuver the bracket as best you can to get it lined up with the second hole, and then you put that in. And then these right here, guys, you can see they're different, right? They're star keys. I used right here. I use it's a 40, a T40. Yeah, it's a T40. Use a T40 to put it back in. And when you tighten these back up, guys, it's usually like 14 foot-pounds or less. If you're a mechanic and you have any kind of mechanical skills, you know, brackets like this, you don't go gorilla tight. We know that. You go monkey tight. Not gorilla, monkey tight. Not super, super tight. Just a little bit tight, get it a little bit snug, and that's it. That's all you need, okay? And I also put some Loctite in here as well. With blue Loctite, don't do red, guys. Blue Loctite, all right? And I believe that Acro gives you blue Loctite as well, but I just went ahead and, since I had some already, used my own, all right? So once you have this on, you go ahead and put your header pipe on, okay? Get your header pipe on. Obviously, like we said before, it's your 14mm socket. You just screw them in, okay? Screw them in. Don't tighten them all the way. Get them all the way in. Just get them snug, okay? You don't want to tighten them all the way down, because once you get the mid pipe on, once you're trying to install the mid pipe, once you're trying to do the actual muffler, you want to give yourself some room to be able to line it up the way you need to. You don't want to tighten down the header bolts and then you're trying to line stuff up. It's going to make things a lot harder to get everything lined up, okay? So just leave those header bolts loose, and then you come under here, and then you put your mid pipe on, okay? You put your mid pipe on, and I believe you put on your springs here. I think it's 3 springs, 1 here, and it's 2 on the other side. This was a little bit difficult for me because this header pipe and this mid pipe, it wasn't aligned great. It wasn't aligned perfectly. So I had to actually bend one of these pipes down a little bit so I could get this mid pipe on. But it wasn't a big issue. It wasn't hard. It was just something, it wasn't perfect, that's all. But it was easy to do. So I did that. Once I got that on, then I went ahead and put the springs on, okay? And then I came back here, and then I put this spring on, put the pipe on, and then Acro gives you the actual mounting hardware for your muffler to bracket as well, okay? You put your spring on this side, spring on that side. Acro also supplies all your springs for your exhaust as well, okay? Once you have that on, then you go back up here. If everything's lined up the way it needs to be, go ahead and tighten up your header bolts. Tighten your header bolts. And don't go crazy on your header bolts. remember, not gorilla tight, monkey tight. The specs for tightening up those header bolts is 16 foot-pounds of torque. So don't go crazy, guys. You don't want to break one of those header bolts. It'd be a bad day, all right? And then we get into the fun part. Once you get those header bolts on, you got to get that freaking 10 millimeter bolt back in that holds your actual radiator in place. It's your lower radiator mount bracket, and it is a little difficult to get back in, but you can do it. Don't give up, guys. You can do it. Believe me, it was a pain to get that lower bracket bolt back in, but you can do it. Then you head to the top and you get your top mounting radiator bolts back in, okay? You get those back in, tighten them up. Also, you tighten up that 10 millimeter lower bracket bolt, and then you're almost done, guys. You're almost done. Almost done. So from there, what I would do is put my O2 sensor back on, okay? So you go back over there, grab your O2 sensor, and Akrapovic actually gives you an extension for your O2 sensor, because on your stock exhaust, your O2 sensor comes kind of down from your headers, and the O2 sensor is right here. On the Akrapovic exhaust, your O2 sensor is right about down here somewhere, okay? So that's why Akrapovic gives you an extension for your O2 sensor, all right? So that's what I would do right now. I would route your O2 sensor back in. So you take your, so basically you take your O2 sensor, you already had it unplugged and everything, but you take the extension that they gave you, the extra extension that Akrapovic gives you, you put that in here, connect it where you unplugged your stock O2 sensor from the beginning. And then I just came down, here it is right here, guys. I zip tied it here, I went up through here, I went through here, all the way, and then I connected it right there, okay? You guys can see that I connected it right there, came down through there, and then connected it right here, and then tightened it up. It's too easy, guys. It is too easy. And you can mount it whatever kind of way. If you want to come back up here and go through the frame and go down it, do whatever you want. But just make sure that once you're done, you got it hooked up, take up any slack that needs to be taken up, and put a zip tie on it, guys. Because when you're riding the bike, you don't want this, you don't want your O2 sensor jiggling around and something happens, all right? And it breaks or frays or whatever like that. Make sure it's zip tied up out of the way, you know, and it's also cleaner that way. It makes it look so much better. Okay, so once you have your O2 sensor hooked back up, now it's time to put these radiator guards back on. One on each side, right? You got your radiator mounted back where it's supposed to be. You got those bolts that go here that hold these lights on each side. Put those back in. Once you do that, then you want to put these bolts back in on each side that hold your actual radiator guard, right? Once you put those back in, you're almost done. Check this out, guys. These push pins, all right, on the inside here, those, I changed it up. I had some of these already sitting around, some push pins that I already had from previous projects. I just used those because those push pins that they give you, they suck. I mean, to be honest with you, they suck. So I just used my own. I just matched up the length and I used my own push pins to put in there. It'll make it a lot easier if I need to do another upgrade, which is coming. TST is coming, FYI. All right, so let me show you the ones that actually come with the Yamaha from the factory. All right, guys, we're back. Here we go right here. So these are the stock push pins that Yamaha gives you. I mean, check it out, guys. You got 4 of them. You got one here, and 2 on that side as well. But as you can see, look at this. It's plastic. You basically have to loosen this up till it pops out like this. Once it pops out like that, then you take your flathead and you go up underneath there and pull it out. You pull it out from right here. And I mean, it sucks. It's a bad design because when you're loosening this up, this Phillip on top, you can't use a lot of pressure. If you use a lot of pressure, it'll just go back in. It'll strip out. I mean, it's plastic, guys. So no, I went ahead, like I said, I had some push pins from a previous project. I just used my own. All right, too easy, too easy. Just wanted to show you guys those. All right, so once you got everything hooked back up, double check everything. Double check everything. Make sure you got everything hooked back up. You got your brackets back on. You got your header bolts are good. You have your O2 sensor routed the way you need to have it routed. Make sure, just double check. You don't want something loose, and once you get going down the road, something falls off on the road, or you have a malfunction, something burns up or whatever like that. So just double check, guys. It's not hard. Double check your project. Make sure everything is the way it needs to be. Look at this here. You can see that I have a lot of room here in between the bracket. I'm not gonna have this hidden up against this, right? The swing arm where it'll be vibrating while I'm driving. One thing that I wanna mention is that under here, your mid pipe, make sure that you have plenty of room between your header pipes, your mid pipe, and your exhaust header pipes, that they don't touch here, your oil sump. All right, you want to make sure, you want to get up under there and look, make sure you have plenty of room between her. You don't want to have your header pipes or mid pipe banging up against your oil pan, okay? So just make sure you got room. Another thing that you want to do before you start this bike is you want to take some alcohol and like a microfiber towel, and you want to wipe down your whole exhaust, all of your exhaust. Wipe it all down, because you don't want your fingerprints getting imprinted on the exhaust once you start it up. I tried to use rubber gloves as much as I could, so I didn't have any issues with that, but still, I made sure that I wiped everything down with alcohol before I started it up, because once you start it up, that's it. You're gonna have an ugly fingerprint on your exhaust, and you don't want that. All right, guys, that is it. That is the install for the Akrapovic exhaust. Fantastic, fantastic. And like I said before, it is easy to do. It's not hard. If you have some mechanical experience, it won't be hard for you guys at all. And then as you can see over here, we've got the stock exhaust in all its glory. It is freaking heavy, guys. Just FYI, it is heavy. Also, guys, I just wanted to mention that I did have the DB killer in the exhaust pipe as well. It goes right here. I just took the screw out and then took a broom handle from here out. I put this side on the broom handle, and I just so slightly tap. Once the screw was removed out, and the DB killer just popped right out. Just FYI, if you guys want that out. I mean, if you're getting this type of exhaust, full exhaust, you want as much sound as you can. So I don't see why you would leave that in. Real quick, guys, again, if you guys have any comments, leave them down below. Any questions, leave them down below. If you like this content, make sure you hit that like button. If you'd like to see more content like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to hit the bell notification so you can be notified when I upload new content. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. But before we go, let's do a quick cold start.